Welcome to First Five. I'm Lindsay Stidham. This is where we talk about the first 5 pages of screenplays, both famous ones and works in progress. And we get into what is the hook of that script and what makes that script tick. And today we have Maggie Lane.
Hi.
So excited she's here. Really
Thank you
good
for
to see
having
her.
me.
Yeah. And we've got an incredible project. But before we dig into Maggie's work in progress, I just wanted to give 5 facts about Maggie. Uh, you like to live and dwell in the world of rom-coms. You're very serious about bagels,
Yes.
as you're an East Coast transplant. We're shooting this in LA. And you happen to be a cancer survivor and just kind of an all around badass. And you spend some time working in a perfume villa. I'm glad I got the word villa
Yes.
right. And you also got your start in Sesame Street, which is incredible.
I did the mean streets of Sesame Street.
Yeah.
I feel like that was really formative because I feel like Elmo and Rocco have like an enemies to lovers thing going on. I feel like at any moment they should make up. But because when you have that much passion and heat between two characters, I just feel like how can we explore that? I do a lot of enemies to lovers. I like enemies to lovers.
Do they have a meet cute in their history?
I feel like Abby just like showed up with a rock and was like, this is a person, but he's a rock. And then Elmo like was like, that's not a real thing. And I just like that he's always questioning like his his existence.
Yeah.
There's something really interesting about that because it's not just I don't like him, it's like he does not exist. He doesn't have a mouth, he doesn't have a purpose. And I feel like that's so much like that's the worst insult you can give somebody.
Yeah. That's so funny. I love that the all the Muppets like just know each other, but we can make up their lore, or maybe some of them have lore and some of them don't. And I don't know.
I
don't
will
know
say, and this is a sidetrack, but I'll tell you, is Snuffleupagus is an interesting one because he was an imaginary friend. And then the producers were like, oh, there's a character and Big Bird has this friend who's an imaginary friend, but they wanted to further the idea of believing children.
Yeah.
So they actually made him real. And then one day he just showed up. They're like, oh yeah, it's Snuffleupagus.
Oh my
So
God.
it's actually, yeah, it was about believing children. And it was so ahead of its time. So I think there's a reason why people love them. I think because small interpersonal conflicts make things exciting and funny.
Yeah. That's like that's the most incredible backstory lore I think I've ever heard, to be honest.
Oh,
It's so
thank you.
lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah. I love that piece of
I did not create the Muppets. I just worked with them.
information. But I mean, I also feel like Kermit and Piggy are like a good way for us to segue into talking about romance because they're some of my favorite romantic characters of all time. But you've brought us an incredible romance today, Accord.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So I would love for you to introduce the project before we dig into the first 5 pages of Accord.
Okay, so Accord is something very close to my heart. It came about in a couple different ways. Is that the question?
Yeah, tell us how you decided to write this project.
Okay, so the way that I decided to write it was really Perfume. I had fallen, I took these classes in Italy after I did a project. I threw a party at the top of the Eiffel Tower, which was everything that seems like it is. It was amazing. And then I took a little R&R in Italy. And during COVID, I had seen this place in Tuscany called Villa Lena.
Okay.
And they had an arts foundation. They just reopened in 2022 after the pandemic. And I immediately just, I think you should really follow your whims when no one's going to get hurt, right?
Yeah.
If you have the money and no one's going to get hurt, follow your whims. So I went to the land of pink castles and I started taking classes, and it was me and basically children, but like I love crafts. So it was great. But one of the classes I did was a perfume making class. And that's where I met Stina Hoff, who is the founder of Porcelain Perfumery.
Okay.
And so we learned about perfume, organic perfume. And I thought I didn't like perfume.
Yeah.
I thought perfume's not for me, it gives me a headache. But it turns out I had just been in the world of synthetics and hadn't really dealt with natural perfumery.
Okay.
So once I learned about that, the next year she was doing a workshop where you could basically become a nose in Tuscany.
Yeah.
And I signed up immediately.
I have to stop you for 1 second. What does it mean to be a nose?
That's a great question. A nose is it's not like a sommelier where there's an officiation. A nose is somebody who lives and understands scent. So all the intricacies of scent. I'm going to say that again. A nose is someone who, is able to take in the world and the way that they experience the world is through their nose more than any other sense.
Yeah.
And it's not just smelling it, identifying it, it's the energy that smell brings.
Cool.
And for a long time, sense of smell was considered the lowest scent. I mean, you look at like, Elizabethan and, it's this idea of it being a base thing. And now I believe in our culture, it's really elevated.
Yeah.
So a nose is someone who's an expert in the scent-based world.
In the perfume world, can you become a certified nose in some way?
I got a certificate, which is cool. But I really think that it's kind of one of those things of like, if you're a screenwriter, like what makes someone a screenwriter? Well, you're a screenwriter. So if you're a nose and you've done experience and you've read and you've studied, you can call yourself a nose.
Okay.
Unlike, I'm a doctor or I'm a sommelier. Okay. Weirdly, because wine tasting and perfumery are actually similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of notes, right? You're dealing with notes.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, so you studied how to become a nose. You became a nose.
Yep.
You made perfume. And then how did that bring you to this incredible script?
Thank you.
Yeah.
What really did it was I was at a cocktail party and a director that I love mentioned, I'm not going to say her name because, but she knows who she is. I told her I wrote rom-coms and she said, what about period rom-coms? Where are the period rom-coms? And it got me thinking. I'm like, well, what period would I do? And then, the old adage, right? What you know. I'm like, well, I know a shit ton about natural perfumery, but that doesn't exist anymore in the same way.
Yeah.
That really stopped after 1860. I'm like, so what if I was in 1850, like the highlight of natural perfumery? Natural perfumery meaning all ingredients come from the earth. Nothing is chemical. There's no chemistry yet. Yeah. There's no fake vanilla. There's no fake rose. Nothing. It's all, if it smells like rose, it's from a rose.
Yeah.
And that got me really excited because it's so sensual and I love plants. So thinking of that, and then I was like, what's a story that hasn't been told about perfume around 1850? And then it hit me, which was the British East India Company and the idea of these interplays between India and the British Empire, and that so many new scents were coming into London in the UK that were from India, smells that people had never smelled before. I mean, imagine never having smelled cinnamon or saffron these are things that would blow your mind. Yeah, I mean, cinnamon for the first time, you'd be like, what the fuck? Like, and I was like, that's sexy because wow, like stimulating senses. And I'm like, well, what if a perfumer came in from that area and then was kind of looking at imperialism, but this idea of embracing other cultures? Yeah. I think also probably the climate that Trump was probably going to get reelected. It made it so I really knew what the movie was about without knowing what the movie was about.
Yeah. Yeah. And we also went through this time period where many of us experienced losing our sense of smell. And
that's another thing.
Yes. Yeah. So
COVID too was seeing people lose their sense of smell, which happens in the movie about halfway through. She loses it psychologically, which can happen. She is in anosmia, I believe, which is, she loses her sense of smell or psychological condition. Yeah,
it's crazy. Yeah. Anything else we need to know essential about the perfume world or this time period before we dive into your pages?
When you first told me you wanted to be on the show, I said, let's do, what script you want to read? And I said, Jurassic Park, because that is a perfect script.
Yeah.
Because in the first 5 pages, you know everything you need to know to have a good time.
Yeah.
And I am always thinking, not just a hook, but I want people to have everything they need to be on a ride in the first 5 minutes of my movie.
Cool.
Like Steven Spielberg with Jurassic Park, and it was Michael Kopp and Michael Crichton who wrote the script. But with Steven Spielberg, it's like he explains what DNA is. Like, you know everything you have to know. So what do you have to know about perfumery in the world? You have to know Queen Victoria was queen, even though I make that very clear. So it was the Victorian era. This is not the era of Bridgerton. This is Victorian era, which was 1850. Bridgerton is Regency, which is about 30 years earlier. So this was totally different fashions, totally different things. And the most important thing, the most powerful person in the world was a woman. It was Queen Victoria, who was young. So she was like 28, 29 when this film takes place.
Okay, cool.
So she was like a young, hot queen. And the other thing that could be fun to know, but I reveal in the script, is she was so hot for Prince Albert. She loved having sex with him. She had lots of sex with him. She was pregnant oodles of times.
Yeah.
But she loved sex and she loved perfume,
Yeah.
which is historically accurate. So I don't know if you need to know anything other than this was a Victorian era. It was a time of, a lot of invention, a lot of exploration, and when the most dominant force in the world was the British Empire.
Yeah.
That's probably it. Anything else you think?
No, I don't think so. Now I don't want to say anything more, and we'll just
Yeah,
dig
because I
into
feel like
this part.
it's like, what perfume is would be good to know. I
Yeah.
guess if you've never heard what perfume is, this is probably a film for you.
Okay, cool. So I'm taking on stage directions and our additional characters, and you're going to be reading our heroine. But when we get to our heroine, I will stop us and we'll talk about her. Okay. Interior Venetian ball, powder room night. A luxurious powder room, all pastel curtains and dripping wax candles. Several elegant vanities are set up for partygoers to primp, preen, and adjust their costumes. Classical music plays in the background. The room is empty apart from a buxom lady, 20s, and a dashing man, 20s, both wearing Venetian masks. They hold coupes,
Yep.
brimming with champagne. They clink glasses, then gulp down the liquid. The dashing man twirls the empty glass in his hands.
Do you speak Italian?
No.
Okay, don't do it.
Did you know that champagne coupes are modeled after the bosom of Marie Antoinette? The woman looks down inquisitively at her own bosom. Is that true? The buxom lady gives him a sly glance. Then she bends forward over a vanity. She lowers the top of her dress and places her breasts, one tit at a time, into the empty champagne coupes. They fit perfectly. The man looks on with lusty delight. It appears Marie and I are the same size. And Venus Delacourt, late 20s, British, a transcendent auburn-haired beauty, enters through a curtained entryway. She wears a white lace mask and a matching tightly corseted dress. Venus's eyes widen at the breasts and coupes. The buxom lady notices her presence and stands upright with a shock. The coupes stick to her chest, giving her nipples a fish-eyed lens effect. Okay, so we just met our heroine, our protagonist,
Yes.
Venus. And I feel like in rom-coms we get to have so much fun introducing.
Yes.
And I just wanted to hear your tips and tricks and how you tackled Venus and how she came to you and how much of you is in Venus and how much of you left out, I guess.
It's so funny reading Auburn Hair Beauty because people, I'm like, oh, they're going to think I wrote it because of the, the red right now. No, it was because of Botticelli's Venus. She was always my model. My idea was a walking, breathing goddess. And I also wanted her to be kind of shaped like a perfume bottle.
Yeah.
Like, Coke, when they say a woman's shaped like a Coke bottle.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to talk a lot about liquid and glass, a lot about vessels and filling them, which is sexy. But also this idea of, glass isn't static. Glass moves. So as time goes on, glass moves. And then the liquid changes. Liquid can smell different based on what bottle it's in. And I just thought that was a really perfect representation of this idea of, two people in love, filling up each other and becoming better because they're together. And most people buy perfume for the bottle. Yeah. So I just had this idea of her being this beautiful kind of walking perfume bottle. And also I think she's me at my most confident and my best day.
Okay, cool. I love that. So fun.
I mean, I wish I was as confident as she is because she's just like so confident. And I think it's because, she just was born without much fear.
Okay, cool.
And I think we all would love to be that way.
Yeah, yeah. Also, the word coupe, I just feel is very sexy, and that we don't drink from coupes enough in our own lives. But
we don't. I'd say like a bar that's no longer with us, which is the Varnish.
Yeah,
they did a lot of like egg white drinks with coupes.
They did,
and I remember like researching the Marie Antoinette thing and being like, this, and also the boobs and the coupes, the boob coupes. That came to me just because I don't know. I was just like. It's one of those things that just hits you sometimes when you're driving. I love driving in Los Angeles. I get my best ideas while driving. And I just like, take a voice note of like breasts and champagne glasses. Because I was like, I wonder if someone would be drunk and trying it.
Yeah.
Because Marie Antoinette wasn't, she was like a generation before these guys. So she was still like kind of in the ethos as well.
I also love this is a total sidebar, but I have a movie that is heavily about boobs. And
oh, really?
I do have to tell you about it after the script, after our cast. But I love the word tits, and I just feel like it's not used enough, and I just wanted to call that out. It's a great word.
As I said, a breast cancer survivor. I am the proud owner of very beautiful medical marvels, and I uh, I think that, seeing especially a woman, and this is the thing with casting, which we, are exploring now, is we want someone that has a body, yada, yada. We want someone that is a more of a shapely woman, and that thus far has been a little hard. And I am hoping the right person presents themselves.
Yeah.
It'll be whoever it is, but even in the substance, Margaret Qualley, we're padding.
Mhm.
And if an actress needs to wear padding, she's the right one, that's great. But right now, in a time where people are just getting very, very thin, I wanted to also celebrate another form of beauty, which is just a little bigger. It was a very, very, all about, there were a lot of bustles.
Yeah.
It was very ass focused.
Yeah.
The Victorian era was very ass focused. I'd like to see more ass.
Well,
Boobs and
I
ass.
feel even more honored that we're reading your first 5 now that I hear you talk about how the form is important to you. And
The form, and like
Yeah.
we need more representations of beauty. We have
Yeah.
men that are over 50. Pedro Pascal is not a traditional like young 25-year-old. He's like
Yeah.
handsome and like
Yeah.
dapper, and I'm like,
And
can
worldly.
and worldly. And can we please have more characters that are just hot because of their kindness as well as their
Yeah.
bodies?
Yeah.
So I think it's all of that. But yes, I am manifesting a person playing Venus who is not is not a size 0. That
Yeah.
would be really cool.
Very cool. Well, I'll let you take it away with Venus and we'll keep going.
Non fate caso a me. Don't mind me.
The buxom lady, blushing everywhere, yanks away the coops, which give a slight pop as the vacuum seal releases and runs out of the room with the dashing man giggling. Venus chuckles.
Italians.
She locates the reason she came to the room, a full-length mirror. She adjusts her gown and then removes her mask. She fixes a loose string on its edge. She puts the mask back on. She nods to herself in the mirror. Always feels a bit better to be hidden at this kind of thing. She reaches into her evening bag and withdraws a bottle, ornate crystal vial of perfume. She opens the bottle. A tendril of rose gold smoke that only Venus and the audience can see rises from the delicate opening and begins to swirl around her head as she closes her eyes and breathes in. As she will explain later, Venus has olfactory visual synesthesia, i.e., she can see scent, and as the audience, we will see the scents too during intensely perfumed moments. Okay, so I got to stop us there for a second. Sure. So I want to hear more about the olfactory visual synesthesia, how you discovered this. Do you know anybody who has it, and why you've given this ability? I feel like it sounds like an ability, but I don't know if for people who actually have it, if it sometimes feels overwhelming. But
That's a great point. It really started with, I was reading about perfume, and it was an article in Allure magazine, with Frederick Malle, who is does Synthetic Jungle. He's a very famous perfumer, and there were illustrations of perfume that someone had done with all these wild watercolors around them, and it was because that's how he sees scent.
Okay.
So he has visual synesthesia. So he sees perfume, has always seen perfume.
Yeah.
And seeing those visuals, the problem is in food movies, although it shouldn't make a difference, I think, the problem is, well, you can't see what's on screen. How do I know what things smell like? Mm-hmm. And I think all of us are capable of some kind of synesthesia. Anyways, he has it. And then I also met another perfume reviewer named Rebecca Fern, who writes for Vogue and Elle, and she also has it. So she's also written about her experience of seeing scent. Cool. So occasionally I would ask her questions like, okay, what does orange look like? And, what does peppermint look like? And what's this? And then Andy, who is the romantic lead who we'll meet later, has auditory synesthesia. Now, that type of synesthesia I do have. So perfume feels like instruments to me. So I've always been able to understand perfume in terms of music, in terms of different instruments. Yeah. And I thought everyone could do that. And it's funny, they can't. But I find that a lot of people who really love perfume experience it in multiple ways. So Andy hears perfume, Venus sees perfume. We're dealing with film, a visual, auditory medium. And it really hit the nail on the head of like, this just feels fun. As I said, I chase the fun. And
Yeah.
I'm like, this would be, I love Amelie.
Yes,
And
me
I
too.
love like all the images and all
Yeah.
the, and I love surrealism and I love animation. And I was like, well, I wanna understand what she's feeling and I wanna know what she's smelling. And I'm like, Drops of God did cutaways to
Yeah.
like secret rooms. I'm like, no, I want it to be in the scene. So the visual overlay came to me and I fell in love with it immediately. But it
Cool.
is a real thing that happens for perfumers. A lot of perfumers experience things different ways. I have a friend that numbers are different colors.
Yeah.
Do you have any synesthesia?
I don't. I think it's possible my nephew does, but yeah, but I
That's
don't.
really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've always, yeah, it's been interesting, but I'm really lucky that I found people that have it that I can ask about it. But the way that it visually is, usually what I'll do is, softer colors for kind of softer scents, and
Yeah.
pinks for more kind of feminine vibrational stuff. And then if someone smells really bad, as happens later, it's just like a disgusting black cloud or green. And I'm very excited for a director to come on board to help me fine tune the visual language.
Yeah, totally. I totally got it when you said Amelie too. Like that movie is so beautiful for that very reason. Is like we're experiencing so much with her and getting like these. I feel like I can taste the food in that movie.
Exactly, the crack of the creme brulee, and it's really the specificity. So I want people to have kind of sensory feelings while watching the film.
Cool. Okay. Venus dabs her temples, her pulse points behind her ears, and now a glittering rose gold cloud surrounds her head.
Perfume belongs wherever one wants to be kissed.
She breathes in her own scent, divine. Cloaked with elixir, she hopes to seduce anyone who catches her eye on the ballroom floor. Interior, Venetian ballroom, a few minutes later. Title, Venice, Italy, 1850. Title, February. Venus stands into the grand ballroom, where we're met with a masquerade ball in full swing. The music crescendos with buoyant string instruments, the pop music of 1850. The ballroom is packed with masked figures who swirl and twirl around the dance floor. Ivy Ophelia Barrington, late 20s, British Venus's best friend, stands by a bar covered with ornate wine glasses, overflowing with wine. Ivy Ophelia wears a lavender feathered mask. She spots Venus and hurries over. Bellissima!
Bellissima!
Ivy Ophelia takes Venus's hand. They begin to dance. Where did you run off to?
Just needed to freshen up.
Ivy Ophelia sniffs the air around Venus dramatically. Aha! You've changed your perfume. It is most alluring. Are you quite certain you should be wearing that? The guests seem quite tipsy.
Well, it is the glassmaker's ball. How else are they to test the stemware?
It was exceedingly kind of the master of glass to extend an invitation.
I purchased 500 bottles for Uncle's shop. Adding us to the guest list was the least he could do.
Oh, Venus, I cannot believe our European tour is drawing to a close.
Then, Ivy Ophelia, we must make this evening unforgettable.
Venus looks around the room, sizing up the crowd.
Have any gentlemen captured your attention?
Oh, no, there are no men I wish to dance with. And you?
Not yet.
They dance farther into the crowd. Ivy Ophelia spins Venus around. When Venus stops spinning, she finds herself face to face with a handsome man wearing a black mask. Let's call him the masked man. He reaches out a hand to take hers. Venus looks back to Ivy Ophelia. Go. Venus and the masked man begin to waltz. The music changes, growing faster.
I don't believe I have had the pleasure of meeting you before. Have you only just arrived?
The man doesn't answer. He pulls Venus in a little tighter. Something pheromonal and primal is linking them together. Interior dark hallway a little later. The masked man pins Venus up against a wall. Her white silk glove rolls down her arm. Transfixed by her bare skin, he leans down to smell the tender spot. He kisses the crook of her elbow gently. Venus delights in his touch. Venus pushes her nose into the masked man's neck. He kisses her neck once, then pauses to inhale. Her synesthesia activates and a purple tendril of smoke flecked with gold rises up from his neck and into her nostrils. It circles his head like a halo. Venus's eyes roll back slightly. She can't help herself but to ask,
What are you wearing?
The masked man doesn't reply. Instead, he cups her cheek and kisses her, hard. The kiss deepens, growing more intense. His hand slips beneath her skirts, fingers tracing her upper thigh. Venus responds with sounds of pleasure. Suddenly, fireworks explode outside. As fireworks rapidly pop, a rush of noisy chatter fills the hallway as people exit the ballroom. Venus and the masked man break apart and into the shadows so as not to be seen. It's 1850. Making out in public is scandalous. She turns and her stranger is gone. A rush of partygoers sweeps her down the hall and towards the exit. Venice Canal's night moments later. Venus races to the canal's edge, looking for the masked man, but in a sea of masks and formal suiting, how can she find him? A few feet behind her, Ivy Ophelia takes off her lavender feathered mask. She runs to Venus. There you are. We must return to the villa at once, lest we be accosted by any overly enthusiastic Italians. Venus removes her mask. She looks around, a bit shell-shocked and lusty. Ivy Ophelia gives her the once-over and notices her friend's undone corset. Oh, were you accosted?
A bit, but
But
it was divine.
cool. That's the first five. It's so fun.
I didn't write it for your podcast, but it really, the first five is like really, it actually ends on the first five. It's perfect.
It does.
Yeah.
It really does.
Is it just for you?
Yeah, it was so fun. So I have a couple more questions. So first of all, how have you balanced period dialogue with contemporary, which I feel like is kind of the still en vogue right now is to do both, and I feel like you've got some of both going on. And how did you come to that?
I do. I will definitely, before we go into production, I'll definitely be meeting with a Victorian language expert. But I wrote it really, really watching. There's actually a Masterpiece Theater series called Victoria, and I watched all of it, and I read all the script, as many scripts as I can get my hands on. And for me, that was really like the pinnacle, because they are being a little bit more modern in their phrasing. But people think that the Victorian era sounded so completely different. It did not. This is not Elizabethan.
Yeah.
So most of this language, I'm using books, I'm using texts that I already have. This is how they spoke. One thing is contractions, which at first I'm like, oh, they would never use contractions. But they used contractions quite a bit in speech.
Okay.
They may not use it in writing, but in speech they do.
Okay.
That makes it feel a little bit more modern. But I did check throughout and tried to make it so it sounded Victorian as much as possible.
Yeah.
So I'd say it's impossible to kind of completely avoid the modernity and still make it watchable. But I tried to minimize as much as I could.
Okay, interesting. You told me before we started to chat that you did use some fucks in here. So
there is a fuck, yeah. There's one fuck.
Just one fuck. Okay, I love that though.
The word fuck did exist in Shakespeare's time, so.
Yeah, I recently got into like a little tiff when I got that note in a period piece that I was writing about when the invention of the word fuck happened, and it was a long time ago.
It was a very long time ago. I also, it's not like people are throwing it around, but I thought I used it for great effect because the only person who says it is Queen Victoria, who is a character in the film.
Yeah.
You never see Prince Albert, but you do see Queen Victoria, and you see, I think, the back of his head at some point, or his naked body laid down on a bed.
That's really fun.
The British are going to come for me.
I love that choice. I think it's really fun that you.
He's not. The movie's not about him. I didn't really care.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, you're putting women front and center. As should be in a movie like this, I think. Yeah. My other question was 1850. Why you chose that year in particular?
I chose 1850 because it was a time where the Brits were still the world superpower. It was Queen Victoria's 10th wedding anniversary. And so I assumed, and I was right when I started doing the research, that there was going to be some kind of a commemoration, that she would probably get her husband a gift. 10 years is a big milestone.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, what would inspire, like, a very extravagant gift, like commissioning a perfume, even though she has a lot of money, so I guess it's not that extravagant. But it's personal and it's sexy. And I was also looking, she was going to be between pregnancies, and I assumed she probably was really excited to have sex again because but Queen Victoria's sex life, there's so little, and a lot got actually erased by her daughter who edited her journals.
Whoa.
But it seems like her last trimester sex probably would have been very discouraged. So I think she was probably super like wound up and wanted to do something sexy when she had the baby. Okay. So she's like, at the end of the film, she's like right postpartum, ready to celebrate.
Oh, that's so fun.
That thing. And she was a pro at doing this, at getting pregnant. She's very good at getting pregnant.
Yeah.
So I think it was that, and also where India was during that time, where you did have the East India Company was still around,
Yeah.
and you had India, which by all accounts could have been, the second world superpower, and then the Brits go in and suddenly it falls because they pillaged it, and also not letting them grow certain crops, but really pushing opium too. And that was also a central thing that happens in the next scene, which is, Venus is arrested for selling tuberose, which was very much real. That was illegal during that time. So if someone had been selling tuberose, you would have been arrested or reprimanded. So the idea that opium was legal and you could buy it anywhere, a flower, and tuberose, because people believed that tuberose caused women to spontaneously orgasm, was illegal. And that's true. You can
Totally causes me every time. Yeah.
It
never fails.
Every man who reads that is like, does tuberose really cause women to spontaneously orgasm? I'm like, no. Well, not that easy for you, sir. No. But it's funny that people ask that. But yeah, tuberose is really a wonderful smell, but I love that it was banned. So the idea of flowers is also really central in the film. Is why is this little flower destroying India and eventually opium wars, right? Or, because of the opium wars. And it's everywhere, and people in Victorian London are addicted to opium.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the precursor to kind of like the opioid crisis in America.
Yeah.
Yet a flower that gives women pleasure is illegal.
Yeah.
And that really fucked with me a little bit, because I think there's nothing more dangerous than women's pleasure.
Well, hey, I mean, Texas is outlawing dildos, so
is that true?
Yeah, they're trying.
What?
God forbid women have access to pleasure in any way.
No, because they only want it because it's supposed to be because it's just a dude. Because like,
I don't know. Who knows?
I gotta read
that.
Time.
It's a crazy time, but yeah, God forbid women have pleasure. We've been punishing women for pleasure for so long, so it's really cool that you dig into that so quickly in the script too. But on the flip side, we have Venus getting to experience pleasure in the first 5 pages, which I love. That's such an awesome choice. So I have 2 questions about that choice. The first question is just like a technical question of like you're giving us a meet cute in the first 5 pages. That's so early. Why did you decide to plan it here? I always am trying to get people to do their meet cute in the first 10, but for some reason it's sometimes really hard to get people to do it. I'm like, no, you don't have to world that build that long before you get to the moment of meeting the guy. So we get to meet a guy. I don't want to spoil anything except this man is significant.
The masked man will come back.
Yes.
The masked man will come back. This is a me cute. I think because I wanted to start off with an extravagant, sexy bang. Yeah. I wanted people to have I just wanted to start off with excitement. Yeah. And I wanted to start off in the midst of something so decadent, and then really also show this like pure pleasure palace, and then cut to London, which was disgusting. Mm-hmm. That's the other thing that kind of changed that I'm doing that isn't in other period pieces is London smells terrible. It's disgusting. It's filled with sewage. The reason Perfume was so loved is you literally would hold handkerchiefs against your face because you couldn't smell the outside air. Yeah. And I think people always think, and also the clothes were never washed. Everyone smelled terrible. And Victorian London was probably the worst smelling place other than Paris in the entire world at that time. So I love that people think it's so elegant and dashing. And I'm like, people smelled awful. Yeah. And I think like bathing was just kind of starting, like regular bathing, but like it was early. Yeah. Very early. Yeah. So I think that was another thing. But I think having those 2 cuts, and then I don't know, I wanted us to be swept up. I also knew that I wanted Venus to meet someone that was masked for reasons that come out later in the script. And so I was thinking, how do I make it so she can't recognize this person? Mm-hmm. Which I guess I just gave it away. But I don't want her to recognize him. So of course it has to be a masked ball, which is a standard trope, but I don't think they usually have people hooking up so quickly. It actually was going to go further, and then my manager told me they could not do what I had them doing in the hallway. So if anyone wanted to see more between them, that's her fault, not mine.
Yeah. That's my next question is, I don't think writing eroticism is easy. And do you have any tips or tricks, and what gets you in the mood to write things like this? And how do you mentally get yourself there to write something like this?
I think it's really being embodied. This whole film is about embodiment. So I think it's, always lighting candles, scented candles. I love writing at night. I think it's more romantic. Don't like write in a crowded coffee shop like at 9 a.m. I think that that's not very sexy, but also if that's sexy to you, then do it. I mean, that's your ultimate. I would say I'll wear like fancy pajamas or a silk robe. There's a film called She Devil, which is Meryl Streep and Roseanne Barr,
Yeah.
and she writes romance novels in like a pink Chanel suit
Yes.
with on a pink
I
typewriter
remember this.
with with a scarf by the ocean, and I always was like, that's how I want to write. It's more like me on my couch or on my kitchen table in like a silk robe, but I'm trying.
Yeah.
It's romanticized the actual process of writing. And then always, whenever I'm writing something like this, especially something period, I make that my entire world.
Yeah.
So was only listening to classical music, was only from that time period, was only watching period films. I love the app Dipsy for any erotic kind of exploration. They're amazing.
Yeah.
And their stories are so good.
They do.
And if you want to know how to write things that are really about like what is sexy in terms of the words on the page.
Yeah.
And they pay voice actors very well.
Yeah.
So Dipsy is a huge hit. I love the Rip Bodice as well in Culver City, which is an erotic bookstore, but also just romance.
Yeah.
And I think also the idea of if it would turn you on, it'll probably turn somebody else on.
Yeah.
And but it is a little weird and embarrassing, I'll say, in like a weird pilgrim kind of way, being like, oh, well, especially later in the script where things get pretty, intricate and detailed. I was like, oh, someone's going to read this and be like, what is this person doing? Or having an actor read it. But I think like sex is just so fun.
Yeah.
Like we love to laugh and we love sex.
Yes.
And we love when it's treated, when everyone who has sex in this film is having a really great time.
Yeah.
And I think that's also something that's special.
Yeah.
There is no non-consensual sex in this script, and that was very important to me.
Yeah.
There's a lot out there, and not that it wasn't existing. It's not this story. I wanted to make something that made people be like, oh, it's so simple. I can just be with the person I want to have sex with in a field.
Yeah.
And have a great time. Like, it's so simple. Have a picnic. Have sex on the picnic, if that's allowed where you live. Don't do it on the food and then eat that's gross. But like, unless that's appealing to you.
That might be your gym. That might be your kink.
I mean, maybe you want to have sex on sandwiches. I get it. I love sandwiches too. But I think it really is that. Yeah, it's that
meats on meats on meats. I could
the meat on meat.
Okay,
it's a meat cute.
Yeah, it is. Well, I was curious. You brought perfume. I was curious if you have anything that you feel like smells like Venus or the Masked Man.
Yes,
I do.
I do.
Yeah.
This is a rough one. So this is Andy. So when I was writing the characters, this also got me in the mood, is I actually gave them each a scent.
Yeah.
And so I would smell them while writing that character.
Yeah.
Every perfume in the script is the ones I created and the one they make for Queen Victoria. It exists. Like it's a real perfume that can be made.
Yeah.
And that was very important to me. So this is what Andy smells like.
Amazing.
I would not spray this. I would smell the bottle because it is it Kiehl's musk and it is strong.
Ooh, I feel like I've smelled this before.
You've smelled it in Los Angeles, probably Silver Lake.
Yeah.
The Silver Lake region.
Silver Lake region.
Now, it really takes it takes a strong masculine energy to pull it off.
I still feel like I smell,
Sometimes women wear it too.
I am not a nose, and I feel like I mix up smells, but I do feel like I almost smell some rose in here.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
It doesn't matter if you're a nose. You can have a good nose.
Okay, cool. Okay.
And there's some rose. There's it is like a musk that was originally in a vat called Love Oil when they first discovered it.
Nice.
I think, again, it has this kind of cloudy haziness. This is not, this probably has, I'm almost positive, a synthetics in it. Discovered in the vat labeled Love Oil in the late 50s. It's their signature scent. Again, I just think it takes over a room, but I was thinking he had kind of a more delicate, spicy version of that.
Okay, cool.
Is what Andy smells like. And it's just undeniably masculine.
If I met a masked man who smelled remotely like that, I would want to see him again.
Right? It's like there's for me, that is the most masculine smell that I've smelled.
Yeah.
And also the rose is more delicate. So in terms of vibrations, if you like hook up electrodes to plants, roses have the highest frequency.
Okay.
That's why they're the love flowers, the heart chakra. Getting very woo-woo, but here we go.
Yeah.
And then Venus is, and this is, Muse Apothecary, who is a friend of mine, Kristen. And this is the Manifest Mist. This actually has a piece of rose quartz in the bottom, which changes the smell. As you notice, everything's in glass. Glass is better for perfume. It just smells better. So that's another thing to just be aware of is if you buy something, glass is preferable.
Yeah.
And this is tuberose Palo Santo. So you can spray that. That one actually smells really good. Everyone loves that.
Yeah, I love the smell of Palo Santo.
I just feel the must one. I feel like your boyfriend's gonna be like, you are cheating with a wrestler.
Wrestler.
Or like a samurai. Wait. Oh, that's great, isn't that?
Yeah, that is really nice.
Yeah, so tuberose, so this contains the banned floral, the flower that was illegal, and it was because the spontaneous orgasms.
Oh,
but exactly, just but what I really love is, so jasmine to me though is the sexiest of flowers. Jasmine, you walk around outside at night in Los Angeles, the night blooming jasmine. It's just horny, like it's just like like buzz me, like pollinate me. And it has an association with the sacral kind of chakra. So it actually, when you feel like certain scents are sexy, it's because they are. Yeah. They are, and there's frequencies there. Yeah. But it's interesting because this is so masculine and that is so feminine. Yeah. But they're both also, Palo Santo is masculine, and then this has rose, which is feminine. Yeah. I'm using all these terms in terms of not gender, but in terms of essence. Okay. Cool. Which is one way of viewing them. Yeah. Yeah. That is lovely. And then rose quartz, it's supposed to attract love. Yeah, it's yeah. And I think, that was something that I also loved, that Queen Victoria is trying to bottle true love. Yeah. And I was wondering what that would smell like. And that also really opened things up for me, because I tried, actually, when I was in Italy, there was Zoe Dubno, who is a reporter for Vogue. Okay. And I've been quoted in Vogue as a romantic comedy writer. Okay. So I have appeared in Vogue. Yeah. Okay. Very, hopefully later I will too. But it said a romantic comedy writer was trying to create the scent of true love. Yeah. And so that also inspired me. Mine smelled more like a juicy fruit. Okay. Not the gum, which is great. I love, a juicy fruit accord would be so good. Yeah. I had to write that down. But juicy fruit accord. And yeah, juicy fruit accord. But the one that I created was really balanced. Amber is very hot right now. Okay. So anything with amber, people are like obsessed with amber. Why the obsession with amber, do you think? I'm gonna have you smell some. Amber is great because it grounds things. It's a resin. So especially what we're talking about is natural perfumery, is things don't have staying power. So you want to use resins in order to make them last longer on the skin. Okay. So you can smell this. This is very special. That's amber. Ooh. You smelled that before, right? Yeah. That smells a little bit orangey to me too. Yeah. And amber has like a little bit of an orange tint. It does. Yeah. The amber is great. And then this is really special. In my film, the flower, so they go to Italy to get flower. Yeah. And the flower is the other version of this. I do not have Iris florentina. This is Iris pallida, which smells similar, but they go to Florence literally just for this one flower. Oh, wow. Because I thought that was sexy. Yeah. And people will say, well, actually you'd have to dry it for 6 months and blah, blah, blah. That's the one suspension of disbelief we're doing in my film. Yeah. It's kind of like how in episodes of TV, they take a drug, and like they took mushrooms in the studio last week and they immediately are high. I'm like, I don't think it works that way. Yeah, I don't know. It can be pretty fast. Can it be that fast? It can be pretty fast. Seriously? Minutes? Yeah. Not minutes, but like, 10 minutes. All right. Well, it's like instant shit, but this is really cool. So this probably smells like dirt, but also it's very, so this is very valuable. This is iris. Okay. So iris or orris root is the root. So it's also cool learning about all the different parts of a plant that you can use. Yeah. Which was very exciting for me. Like a orange you can use the peel, you can use the fruit, you can use the blossom. Yeah, use the whole thing. Yeah, so yeah. I encourage people to like get out there and smell stuff and realize you can make your own blends. It's really not that hard. Yeah. If you're doing complicated stuff, it's a little hard. But I think that, if you aren't a perfume person, maybe you just haven't found the thing.
Yeah.
And if you get headaches, it's probably because there's synthetics in it.
Right.
So I also, obviously, with the film, really, really want to do a perfume tie-in. So I'm
Yeah.
already talking with people about that.
That's awesome. That's very fun.
And these are weird too. All right. You have any
Yeah.
questions for me? I don't want to.
Yeah, no, yeah, I have a couple final questions. So at the time, was perfume like a currency as well? Was it that valuable? Was it that?
Oh my God, that's such a great
Yes.
question. Perfume was so fucking expensive.
So
It
expensive,
was
right?
only for rich people.
Yeah.
That's another theme of the film, is that perfume should be for everyone.
Yeah.
And it was not for everyone, mainly because glass had to be hand blown. So commercialized glass was just starting. At the end of the film, you have the perfume that they launched together. My love interests, spoiler, they have a perfume, and it's made with industrialized glass.
Cool.
And once you had industrialized glass and molds, everything became much cheaper. And the problem is that synthetics also made things cheaper. So it ended up being that, and I have some sex workers in my film. There's a brothel scene, and they're using lavender water, and that was really that kind of cheap lavender water was something that everyone could wear.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like very fine, and it wasn't really well done. But that's why a lot of sex workers were known as like lavenders. It was because they were also washerwomen during the day, and they would wash things with lavender.
Yeah.
So they smelled like lavender. So lavender was very, like, had a connotation of sex workers. God, lavender's gotten such a bad rap. And then you have lavender, which is now like the color of queer identity. This film is very queer, and it is delightfully so. I really recommend everyone listen to Stephen Fry's Victorian Secrets podcast.
Okay.
And that was also very helpful for my research. Love Stephen Fry, but he has one all about queer Victorians. And that was great for my research, just realizing that trans people have always existed.
Yeah.
Queer people have always existed. And they were there during the Victorian period too.
Yeah, totally.
And they, in a lot of ways, they had more acceptance.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't read the whole thing yet.
Not to get
which is on
political,
purpose,
but how can we not? I mean, it's interesting. That was the main thing, is realizing we're dealing with so many of the same issues right now that were in 1850, guys, where women weren't allowed to have their own property or control their own bodies. But there is, I mean, but then you have finding old texts. I'll give one nugget, which I was looking up, abortificants. Natural abortificants, like, were people doing that? And Benjamin Franklin wrote a book about math that includes a recipe for abortions in it.
Wow.
So Benjamin Franklin, guys.
Yeah, yeah. God bless him. Thank you, Ben Franklin.
I don't know if you can include that, but I wanted you to know.
Yeah, we can include whatever we want.
I don't know. That's a bit spicy, but I also like, how funny is that?
That's amazing. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like having sex in anything is an act of revolution. So thank you for this very revolutionary script that I really hope gets made. And to me, I always wish there was more love and sex than violence in American film. And it's a battle sometimes to get it in. So I'm praying that this gets made and that it all gets in, and that we get this revolutionary script in so many ways. And